Yeah.
But I don't know how far out we want to run them either.
Okay, it looks like we're up and running here. Terry, welcome. Our monthly bridge update. I guess we're on, there we are, now we're on. Thanks for coming. We had a few people in the audience. We're going to get started on talking about what's happened this past month and what's kind of coming up. We've had some high water. We're getting into cold weather, trying to get some pavement down. Maybe Terry, you kind of want to go through that and see where we're at with pier construction, and a lot of work on the Minnesota side as well to talk about.
Yeah, sure. I always start with safety. So the last month, safety has been really, really good for us. No accidents this last month. So no lost work time on the project, and still 2 recordables that we have from previously. So that's really, really great. In terms of overall the project, we're still on schedule and on budget. Jay talked a little bit about the recent flooding that we had. The river came up and it slowed us down for the last couple of weeks, but we had some float in the schedule, and overall it didn't impact us. The new bridge is scheduled to still open September 2018 and overall completion in August of 2019. Traffic-wise, the river crossing the last month, we're not aware of any delays or congestion or anything for the last month, or accidents for that matter. So from a project team's perspective, the river crossing itself has been operating extremely well this past month. We're going to be closing, or we probably already have closed 4th Street for a utility patch. We should have that open up by this weekend. We're going to finish that off and get some bituminous put in there, and thank the residents in that area for their patience with us. But we'll get that done and get that back open.
Yeah, and mentioning that, I just wanted, if you're down in that area, we did have a mud jack or city project come down, and I think it really turned out good. I got thumbs up here from a resident. It turned out well down there. We got those sidewalks that were sunken along that in that area. We got those mud jacked, and I think that's going to get us through until we're ready to actually do a full reconstruct in that street. But we went and buy us some time there with those sidewalks. There was some trip hazards there for sure along the curb, so that turned out well.
In terms of Highway 61, traffic-wise, we're anticipating early next week a traffic switch. We're paving the northbound work that we did there, and we should be moving northbound back over onto the northbound side early next week sometime. We'll still have some lane closures on 61 to get signal systems installed and some other work, but at least we'll have traffic in its final side anyways early next week. And then kind of on the docket, we've talked about it last time, but in the coming out next spring is when we're going to close the slip ramp in April of 2018, and we'll have traffic on the button hook and a temporary bridge. So again, that slip ramp gets closed next April, and actually from the Wisconsin side coming into town, it never opens up again. That's never a movement that'll be accommodated as part of the project. So when the slip ramp opens, it'll be that direction, that movement coming into town.
Coming into town.
Out of town won't be the one that'll be allowed. So when it opens up, it'll be closed for quite a while, but when it opens, it'll be inbound into Red Wing only. I had that incorrect. So that's some traffic stuff. And Jay mentioned some construction things that are going on. So on the Wisconsin side, the wick drains are installed now. There's over 2,000 locations that we put in terms of drilling in those vertical wick drains. That operation is completed, so that equipment's gone. We're continuing our surcharge. In terms of the bridge work, I'll start with the river. We actually started the causeway to into the river for our access to get out to Pier 2. So we finally got our Corps of Engineer permit amendment, and we're starting that work, pushing some riprap and some fill into the river. We'll build a temporary trestle, and that'll get us out to Pier 2 for that cofferdam and that work out there. So that's really, really good. Pier 3, we're installing our column forms for pouring the pier column there. So starting to see the columns come up, and as soon as we get that Pier 3 column poured and strip those forms, you'll start to see the pier columns, coming out of the ground and the footings, which is some really great progress for us. Once they're done with those columns at Pier 3, they'll move them to Pier 5, pour that column, and then they'll move them to Pier 6 and pour that column. So that's kind of the cycling of forms. And then the only other thing on the Wisconsin side is Pier 4, we have yet to finish off the piling there. So perhaps by late this week or early next week, we'll be done driving the piling at Pier 4, which will be the finalization of our pile driving operations on the projects. That's a pretty big milestone for us. And we want to thank everyone for their patience with our noise and our pile driving operations. There's quite a bit of noise and vibration, and specifically the campground, they've been really, really great to work with for us over there. On the Minnesota side, Pier 1, the crane bench is built, and the crane has actually moved onto the crane bench, and we're working on our cofferdam now on Pier 1. So perhaps by late this week or again early next week, we'll have that cofferdam installed, and we can be ready for kind of the next phase there of pier construction. And then I talked about Highway 61. They're actually paving
Go back to that Pier 1, Terry, just to, that's work you see kind of continuing through the winter on that with the drilled shafts and the work on Pier 1. We're kind of turning that area over to the contractor to handle snow. We're not going to plow that road. They're going to come in from one direction. They're going to keep their own road into there, but it's that gravel road is really not a public throughway anyway, but we are going to definitely keep that closed. That's contractors' area to work down there by the railroad tracks. So.
Yeah, as Jay mentioned, in terms of the drilled shafts, we have drilled shafts at Pier 1 and Pier 2, and then we also have what we call a technique shaft. It's a non-permanent shaft. The first thing the contractor has to do to make sure we look at their means and methods of drilled shaft construction to make sure we're comfortable with it before they actually do permanent shaft work. So in the schedule, it looks like they'll get started on the technique shaft within the next couple of weeks here. That'll take 3 to 4 weeks. We'll kind of move then into Pier 2 with our 2 drilled shafts at Pier 2, and then they'll come over to Pier 1 and do those drilled shafts. So Pier 1, once we get that cofferdam built, it probably will sit for a while until the drilled shaft operation works its way over there and kind of catches up with things.
Okay.
Yeah. And then on the Minnesota side, Highway 61, yeah, they actually started paving that yesterday, and I just drove through, and it looks a lot different today than from yesterday, but we're getting that paved out here, and again, hoping for that traffic switch early next week, so you can start to see the button hook. We got some bituminous on there as well. It looks a lot different.
And we'll paving the 3rd Street cul-de-sac as well on the end there where it got cut off with the button hook. So. And the patch down in your area, get that done and ready for winter here. I know our public works guys did not want to be plowing with gravel patches out there, so they're happy to see that get done. So.
And then on some public relations efforts, Jay maybe want to talk about a little bit about our school tour tomorrow, and then another chamber tour on Friday, and I'll get some videos ready.
Yeah, you bet. So we've got, I think it's 50 students, correct, Terry? We got 50 students tomorrow. Exciting getting out there, see the bridge construction, and it's a good time for us to kind of talk about careers in both engineering and construction. Patty, I remember being out there, all the different construction trades that are represented on a project of this size. It's there's a lot of different career opportunities out there, and this gives us a good chance to really highlight with a group of students. So we're excited about getting that done, getting that in, and we'll do more of those as well. So, all right, Terry, got something here?
Yeah, so show some videos like we
go to video here.
Like to do. So this is on the grading work. I'll start with grading videos. This is a retaining wall 1 area that was flooded out and slowed us down a little bit when the high water and the rains and such came. But we've got one of the sections of that poured now. We actually sent the water here to the city treatment facility, and some pretty good work there. So it looks different from this video if you go out there and take a peek at it. This one is a paving of southbound from a while ago before we switched traffic. So again, it looks a lot different. We've got some turf work done there and got traffic over on that side, but this was during that paving operation before we opened that up on the southbound 61 side. A view of their rollers and their pavers and such. Looks like this one's giving me some trouble, so we'll go to the next one. So this is a view of the grading and finishing off. You can see again quite a bit of turf work done here. The button hook's starting to take some shape with curb and gutter. And like I mentioned, we've got some bituminous on there, but you can really start to see what that button hook is going to look like. if you take a peek at that. I like to go up on the bridge over Highway 61 on the sidewalk there and look over kind of the panoramic view of that construction site. So it really takes a lot of time to get up and out of the ground, like Jay talks about with utilities and some of the contamination and stuff, but it's really starting to come together. This is a little video of one of our vibration monitors. I just thought I'd take this, and we've got a series of vibration monitors. This one's over by the bridge over 61 at the base of Barn Bluff, but we actually have monitors, vibration monitors on ADM over by the campground, along the base of the bluff, and on some of the historic features of on Barn Bluff. So actually quite a few monitors, vibration monitors on the job. So that was one of them. Your panoramic view I took actually yesterday of Highway 61 southbound. We got that pretty well ready for the bituminous paving operation, and the button hook you can see. So as of just yesterday, we were putting the finishing touches on it for the paving operation. And again, early next week, we'll switch traffic over on northbound and have, both sides of 61 on their permanent side. A few more lane closures before we get everything kind of wrapped up for the winter time. This is over on Wisconsin, showing the construction at 825th. We're getting that 825th East built up relatively close to grade now, and once that's done, then we'll start our fill over the top of the wick drain area, the approach to the new bridge. 825th acts as kind of the anchor before we do the rest of our fill on the bridge approach. We got about 10 feet of fill to put on top of the wick drain elevations there on the new bridge approach. And then this is one of my favorites. This is the bald eagle nest you can see now. So the eagle is on the right on that branch, and he's a little camera shy. So as you watch this, keep an eye on the eagle. I'm going to zoom in. It gets a little jerky as I'm trying to zoom in, but so we get zoomed in on the eagle. There we go, and he gets a little camera shy. And he moves a little bit, and that was the end of the video. So just a little view. The eagles are back in the nest, and they've been real good, and we haven't bothered them at all through the project. So on the bridge side, this is a view of the cofferdam at Pier 3 in the campground area, and we were able to keep that one relatively dry from the high water just by pumping it out. So we continued on, and that's, we're ready for that column pour. We got those column forms there. And then on the bridge side, I had a little bit of the high water. The water got higher than this, but just a view of kind of what the flooding started to do for us over there. It actually went over the entire campground road and caused us some issues and some challenges as a team. But yeah, it got up and caused us some issues. And this is a view of Pier 4. We were given some tours, and as we kind of panned to the left, that ladder there, I had a few people ask me, "What's that ladder for?" It goes down into the water. And I joked with them. I said, "That's for the engineers on the job. They make us go down there."
Yeah.
But that was there from when it was dry, and just left it there. And again, that piling on, I'll show this again, that's the remainder of the piling. We got to get driven down, and once we're done driving the piling on Pier 4 there, we're done with pile driving operations on the project. We have spread footings on the Minnesota Red Wing side, as we've talked about. No pile driving operations on the Red Wing side. And another view there, I thought I saw some whitecaps on the river there, so the backwaters, but it was a little windy this day. But a little view of that site over there. You can see the north abutment in the background, Pier 6, Pier 5 now in the foreground there. Those will be the next two column pours. And then we pan over to Pier 4, I think. Didn't quite get to Pier 4. And there's Pier 5 and then Pier 6 in the background. So again, those will be the next column pours coming, pier column pours.
Terry, the column pours, they'll have the form liner in there to create the texture.
Correct. Yep, we'll have the form liner in there to put the finish on the concrete surface, if you will. Yep. I guess the last ones are being a little stubborn on me. So, sorry about that. But yeah, those are our videos for the month, and
All right.
thanks for spending time with us.
So Terry, maybe you want to talk just a little bit what to expect kind of coming up here. I know we're talking some removals on the Minnesota side. We've got maybe some nighttime construction that the neighbors down in the east end there would be like to know about, and in the detour that we're kind of planning right now.
Yeah, one of the things we need to get done by next spring is a temporary bridge over Highway 61. So as part of that, we have to actually remove a portion of the existing bridge over Highway 61 with traffic on it. So we'll put up some barrier, we'll keep traffic flowing across there. It's actually wider, the bridge over 61 has enough width to it where we can keep 2 lanes flowing, put up some barrier, and as we remove a kind of a pie-shaped piece of that bridge over Highway 61, we'll want to do that at night, and we'll want to detour traffic for safety of the traveling public and the workers and such. So that'll probably be early to mid-December before we get to actually any kind of a closure of Highway 61. And then we'll follow that later on with actually installation of the temporary bridge itself. There'll be some lane closures likely on Highway 61 while we do that. Eventually, we'll take down then the rest of the Highway 61 bridge, but that won't happen until we get traffic next spring put onto the temporary bridge in the Button Hook. So that's kind of the last piece of the work in that area with impacting traffic and such. So bottom line is, once we get Highway 61 in its final configuration, and the river crossing where it is now, that's the way traffic should stay throughout the wintertime, with the exception of a nightly detour for the bridge removal, and then some sporadic lane closures on 61. That should get us through the wintertime in terms of traffic impact.
Yeah, in the night, just to be clear, the nighttime detour is for 61 traffic.
Correct, the nighttime detour just for 61 traffic.
There won't be the bridge will be open across the river and into town and back into Wisconsin. It's just the 60, below that, while they're doing that removal, they want to keep the traffic off of 61 going underneath that the overpass there. So.
Yep. Again, as we mentioned, no detours of the river crossing are planned at all for the project.
Yeah. So that detour, and the kind of the start of that is looking at early to mid-December. Is that correct?
Correct. For that nighttime 61 detour,
yeah,
for perhaps one night.
And we will be once we get that solidified on the schedule, we're going to do some door-to-door notifications. City engineering will get a flyer out saying we're looking at nighttime construction on this date, and just so people know. So, you had a question, Nancy?
How are you detouring 61? Are you just moving it like all to one side of the highway, or is it going to be detoured like down 7th Street, or?
Be detoured basically Highway 58 to Flower Valley Road and then back down to 61.
Okay.
Yep,
Yeah.
so we'll be all the way out to Flower Valley at 21 will be the official detour. Yep.
I think it's about a 12-mile detour, kind of up top on top there.
And you're really only looking at setting that up for that nighttime construction, correct?
Correct.
So set it up after the peak hours and then get it back, pull the detour by the morning. So
So it's only one night.
Correct.
one night, yep.
Yep.
Try to keep that as low impact as possible and get the work they need to get done overnight and get traffic back on 61. A good question, though. With that, Terry, anything else you want? Should we just move into some questions?
That'd be great.
Anything else, Patty, that you've had come up?
No, we talked about possibly doing a public tour on the Minnesota side, so we'll figure out some dates and set that up.
Good.
Broadcast that out.
Yeah, we've had.
Our tours have been very well liked. People have really appreciated getting over there and seeing what's actually happening and up close and personal with it. So.
Yeah, and then last tour we got another speaking engagement out of it with another Kiwanis club, so that was good. So we got that scheduled for next week. Yep. So, yeah, it's. I think they've gone well, and people seem very interested, and a lot of good questions out on those tours and seeing what's going on. So that is nice.
Yes, I'm really appreciative of the student tours too.
Yeah.
We have to set up a special date to do that, so that we appreciate your cooperation with that.
You bet. Terry, maybe expand a little bit on the program that MnDOT has, that STEM program that we talked about today at our PR meeting that's going on kind of with the schools as well.
Yeah, MnDOT's sponsoring a science, technology, engineering, and math, or a STEM program with school districts, and they've reached out to the school districts in this area. It's really elementary, middle, and high school, all different levels, and it's really called a Bridge Up program, where they go in and they have modules related to bridge construction and bridge design. So it's an outreach, and just in general, trying to engage students with perhaps that interest in the engineering workforce, if you will. So we're starting to get some interest from local schools in terms of partnering up with them, if you will. We talked about the high school visit tomorrow, and we've actually got some other grade and middle school efforts going on as well. So we're pretty excited about it. But it's all about trying to engage them and in the careers that Jay and I and others have, and if they have an interest at all, maybe try and mentor them a little bit as well.
Yeah, and it goes down to like you said, down to the grade school levels, and there's some programs where MnDOT will provide some materials to students are building their own little bridges in the classroom and crawling across them. I've seen some videos of other schools that have done this. And we have some interest from our principals in town here to kind of pursue that. So we're supportive of that for sure.
They give specific modules for the teachers, so the heavy lifting is done in terms of the teacher involvement. So hopefully they'll take us up on that.
Yep. Good. Any other questions from the audience?
I have a comment.
Yep.
In the wintertime, our buildings at the campground are vacant, and we consider electricity in those buildings as a potential ignition source. And we don't want them to burn out during the winter, so we turn that electricity off in our buildings. That will shut down your vibration monitor that's at our building. You may wish to move that. We will be happy to keep the electricity on wherever you move it, provided it's not in one of our buildings. Already, we've discussed with some of the workers there and indicated that we would leave the electricity on electrical stanchions number 1 and 2, because say we'd like to bring a small trailer in there to warm up and put microwave in for lunch. So that might be a possible place where you put that vibration monitor. But in any event, be advised, next couple of weeks, that will mysteriously go down. It's not an earthquake.
Appreciate it. Would you have any objection if we ran some kind of a power cord or generator and kept it where it is, and powered it ourselves from a yeah, we can do that. Okay.
All you need is an extension cord from one of our outside plug-ins.
Yeah. Yep.
And that'll be fine. But try not to run it across the road. There will be traffic in there.
Sure.
We've got about 60 trailers that over winter, those people come in to check on their trailers.
Yep.
And sometimes ice fish and stuff like that.
Sure.
So there won't be traffic, so be advised that they'll drive over your cord if you put it in the road.
Sounds good. No, appreciate that. Thank you.
Good. So, and anything else, Terry, to add? I think.
No, we'll try to do this again next.
I think so. I think let's keep it. We got construction this kind of occurring through the winter here. I think let's keep this going while we got activities. So keep everyone updated. Thank you for coming.